Good afternoon, everyone. I am recording this for people that were not able to attend this informational meeting. If there are questions that you have after the meeting, please feel free to email me. But I'm just going to go through some slides with you that will hopefully have some information that will help you be ready to start our school year. I'm excited to start the school year and looking forward to working with you in navigating some of the challenges I'm sure we'll run into throughout the year. But it will be great to have you all back and in contact with us as we start the school year. Our school theme for this year is caring, as it has been the last several years, and last year at least. So we wanted to keep that same theme because we thought it really fit well with what was happening in our world at the moment about caring for ourselves and caring for each other. We still want to try and create that community of connectedness and creating a supportive learning environment, whether you're remote or whether you're in person. We're going to continue to look for ways to help us all feel part of a community, and hopefully caring for ourselves and each other will be a good way to kind of keep that in mind to do that. In order to that, I think the family-school partnership is going to be really important. Communication is really key, more so this year than ever. It's really important that your contact information is as up-to-date as possible. When you change phone numbers, change mailing addresses, please make sure you update that. You'll be updating that through Infinite Campus. There won't be any first day paperwork that comes home. It will all be done electronically. If you were able to access things last year on Infinite Campus, it will be the same process. If you're unfamiliar with that because you're new with us or can't quite remember how to access that, we will be sending out information on how to get into your account, how to keep it updated in the next week or so. Hopefully you've been able to pick up your laptop or iPad this week at Mollyauket. For all district students, you'll be picking them up there. We don't have any of those devices here. Students K-8 will each have their own device. It will be transported between home and school or from school to home. If there's a potential, we're going to transition to distance learning. But if you're an in-person learner, for the most part, your computer or your device will be here at school. Students won't be sharing devices. The device they use is the one that's been assigned to them. The laptops have all been updated with the apps that students will need for the year. The biggest one they'll be using is Google Classroom, and that's where all the instruction and assignments will be housed. If you were doing remote learning with us last year, you will be familiar with that. When you go to pick up your laptop, hopefully you signed up for a time to meet with your child's teacher. When you come to that meeting, you'll be getting more information about how to get onto Google Classroom. If you're doing remote learning, you'll be picking up any materials, but you'll also, more importantly, have an opportunity to talk with your child's teacher and have your child have a chance to meet the teachers, see what the classroom setup looks like. I think that'll be really important just to kind of get everybody on the same page and to start working on that communication piece. So the first part of this is around if you've chosen to do in-person learning, and then we'll talk a lot about the expectations for remote learning. If you're coming in person, in order for us to open for in-person learning, we had to meet Center for Disease Control guidelines and Department of Education guidelines and recommendations, which we've done a lot of planning on over the summer. And I feel like we're in a really good place for that. Each day, we're asking employees and students to complete a self-screening. The screening you can do orally. You don't have to fill out any paperwork unless you answer no to any of these questions. So it's basically you're considering, have you been out of state in the last 14 days, with the exception of New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, Vermont, and Connecticut. Do you have any loss of taste or smell? Have you had a shortness of breath? Do you have a fever or feel feverish? Have you had a cough or a sore throat or do you feel unwell today? If you answer no to any of those questions, then your student will need to stay home. If you answer no, then you would go to the district website. On that website, there's a COVID-19 tab. When you click on that tab, it brings up a COVID-19 call form. You just click on that and complete the form. And then we'll be able to access that and have that information for our records. Anyone who arrives at school who has these symptoms, you will be sent home right away, and we'll be giving you a call to come pick up your child. In school, students will be wearing masks at all times, students and staff, except when they're eating and drinking. We will be doing some mask breaks throughout the day. We're going to be trying to do these outside. Students will be spread far apart, and we'll just be sitting and getting some fresh air, taking a break from the mask. But they will be really under very controlled and safe circumstances that students will be taking off their masks. We will be following the social distancing guidelines from the Maine DOE and Maine CDC. They are recommending 3 to 6 feet, but we are going with the stricter guideline of 6 feet distance between students. So when you're in the building, you'll see hallways marked with lines to show where those 6 feet distances are, and in the classroom as well. Classrooms are set up with at least 6 feet distance between where students are sitting. To help all of us remember sort of the guidelines, we're going with the 3 W's: to wear a mask, wash hands, and watch your distance. All students and staff should sanitize their hands prior to entering the building, prior to getting on the bus, before and after lunch, and after using the restroom. And we're asking if you can practice hand washing with your students, with your child at home, kind of helping them sing the happy birthday song, count to 20, but really help them wash their hands well, and not just sticking their hands into the running water. Just to do a couple practices with you would also be really helpful. Students won't be permitted to share materials in the classroom or while on the playground. So teachers are creating packets of materials that students will need for in-person learning, instead of having a community tub of pencils or papers or those kinds of things. We're hoping having their own stuff will help minimize potential spread of the virus. Transportation, we've developed customized routes to prevent students from different schools from interacting. These routes have to be consistent, so we're not going to be able to accommodate changes of dropping students off in different places each day. So whatever student, the bus will pick your child up at your house, bring them to school, and then bring them home. There's a separate bus for each school. So if you have children that go to different schools, they will be taking different buses. All students riding the bus must wear masks and sanitize their hands before boarding the bus. If students have forgotten their mask, the drivers will have extra masks. But if a student says they're not going to put a mask on or is refusing to wear a mask, then they won't be allowed to ride the bus. So the driver will call the school, but they will need to leave the student at the bus stop and move on to their next stop. We would then be contacting you to let you know your child was not able to ride the bus because they wouldn't wear a mask. So it's really important that everyone understands that in order to be on the bus, everyone has to have a mask on. On the bus, students will socially distance. There'll be assigned seats. Seats in the back of the bus will be loaded first, and then kind of move forward from there. They'll also be unloaded from front to back, so students aren't passing each other on the bus. Families should also socially distance at bus stops. So if obviously you're from different families, you should distance. Students will be seated 1 per seat with the seat behind the driver open. If you're in the same family, obviously you may sit together. The driver will unload the bus using the bus radio, so that he'll let kids know when it's their turn to get off the bus. We'll try and have the windows open as much as possible to improve air ventilation. And then the bus driver will be cleaning and disinfecting the buses between uses. Transportation, so when students exit the bus, they'll have their temperature checked upon entering the building. And if they're good to go, they can come right in. Students will use hand sanitizer when they enter the building, and then they'll walk directly down to their classroom. There will be staff available the first couple of days just to make sure everybody gets to their classroom and can find their way for sure. Parent transportation, arrival and dismissal. So morning drop-off will begin at 7:30. We have health screeners that will be checking temperatures. So there won't be anybody available to do that until 7:30, and all students have to be screened before they enter the building. Parents will pull into the bus loop, and a staff member will take each child's temperature before the child leaves the car. Parents won't be able to walk students into the building. So, you can just stay right in your car. We'll do their temperature check and ask you if they're feeling well, and in they'll come. For dismissal, we will be posting signs on two different exits. If your child's, the sign will be put, there'll be a sign with the child's last name that we'll give to all parents that they can display in their car window. And then staff will assist students in getting to their rides. So when parents pull into the bus loop, if your child is in K1 or 2, the exit is marked with a yellow P. And you'll pull up to that door, and then there'll be someone there that will let the people in the gym know that you're here to pick up your child. The child will walk out and get in the car. If you need to pick up a 3rd or 4th grader, just move a little further along, and it's marked with an M. And those students will be exiting from their classroom or from the main door, and they'll just get in the car and you can head on out. Again, this is a new process for us, so hopefully you'll be patient with our logistics, but we hope to make it as efficient as possible. We're hoping that all of our students will be dismissed by 2:45. Our dismissal is beginning at 2:15, but again, if you are needing to pick up students in Freiburg, I think we're recommending that you stop here first, if possible, just because we have less students to dismiss. You may avoid some of the line at Maliaket if you need to, or the academy if you need to pick up students there. But if you're already in Freiburg and it makes sense for you to stop there, it's certainly fine for you to come from that direction. We will be here until your child is picked up, so don't panic if you're got caught in lines down there. We're all still trying to figure out the logistics and how to make this as efficient for parents and for us. So the basic schedule for in-person instruction, class will begin at 8 o'clock. We hope that students will be able to do all the temperature checks and all of that by 8 o'clock. Students will stay with their class all day. They're not going to be switching classes or switching students in and out. They will have scheduled structured mass breaks, as we talked about earlier. They will have a schedule similar to regular years where they do reading, writing, and math instruction. They'll have a special and lunch and recess each day. If students receive special services like special ed or have a 504 plan or have some other kind of intervention, those services will be provided. They may be provided remotely or in person, depending, that will be worked out individually. And when you are in classrooms, you'll notice, you would see that the seating, students are spaced 6 feet apart so that we can include maximum space between students. For meals, students will eat in the classroom. Lunch and breakfast will both be available. The cafeteria will bring the food down to us, and students will be able to get what they need. All the food will be served. It'll be covered and individually wrapped, including the utensils. We are asking that students bring a water bottle each day. The water fountains won't be available, so students can fill up the water bottle to get a drink. At recess, the group of students that your child has been with will be also the group that plays together on the playground. We have the playground divided into zones. Students will wear masks during recess, and the activities they'll be doing are socially distant activities, so they won't be playing tag or games that would require them to be close together. But we're hoping to find lots of different activities for them to do out there so they could still be active and have fun. At the end of recess, they'll use their hand sanitizer before they come back into the classroom. Normally we have unified arts classes, a different one each day. But to minimize the number of contact students will have with other adults outside the school, we've scheduled unified arts classes quarterly. So our school will have music first, and they'll have it every day for 9 weeks. Then we'll switch to PE and have that every day for 9 weeks. The third quarter we'll have art every day for 9 weeks, and then we'll be back to PE every day for 9 weeks. So it's the same number of classes, it just will be in concentrated chunks instead. Other prevention measures is that students should only bring what they need for that day. Again, we're asking they bring a full water bottle because the water fountains will be just used to refill water bottles, or they can fill them at the sink. Common touch surfaces like doorknobs, light switches, etc., will be cleaned throughout the day, not just at the end of the day. For the restroom, only one child will be in a bathroom at a time. In the primary end, they are already individual bathrooms, but in the intermediate wing, only one child will be in the girls' room or one child in the boys' room at a time. We will be keeping child's belongings separated from each other. In the upper grade classrooms, they'll have their things with them. In primary grades, they'll be using cubbies, but they are spaced out. Kids will not be allowed to share games or toys or books. Books that students are using will be, if students have books for the week, those books will be left untouched for at least 72 hours. And then they would go back into circulation. So again, they're not going to be passed from student to student. Attendance. Students are expected to attend and participate in school, whether they're in person or learning remotely. If your child has traveled outside the states that we listed on that screening form and they have to quarantine for 14 days, those days are not going to be counted as absences as long as the child participates in distance learning. If the classroom for some reason is required to quarantine, that class will transition to true distance learning for the days that they need to be quarantined. And again, those days won't be counted as absences. Parents in person and remote will need to let their homeroom teacher or Mrs. Andrews, Mrs. Andrews, our school secretary, know if their child's going to be absent. We hope by 8:30 each morning. Any remote learners that aren't able to access or aren't accessing classrooms in real time remotely can let us know if their child's not going to be able to attend learning that day. We're going to mark them present unless we hear differently from you. However, if your child does not complete any assignments that day or didn't make the contact time that they had said they were scheduled to make, then it will be counted as an absence. Communication with parents will be done electronically, hoping to minimize face-to-face meetings. If a parent does have to come into the building, they will need to go through the screening, and if they are not feeling well or answer no to any of the questions, they won't be allowed to come in. If there's a scheduled meeting, we're going to try and do them virtually, but if it is one where you do have to come in, parents will have to wear a mask and use sanitizer upon entry and, again, maintain social distancing. We're not going to be able to have volunteers in the building, unfortunately, this year, because we really are making sure the building is only accessible to staff, just really to minimize the contact from the outside that we would have. If we do have a positive case, we would be working with the Maine CDC to navigate how to handle the situation. If someone tested positive that had been in our building, and the space they were in will be shut down for a minimum of 72 hours and deep cleaned. And we would notify, obviously, the people that have been in that space or in that classroom to quarantine as well, and we would transition that class over to remote learning. Again, all of it will be under the guidance of the Maine Center for Disease Control. We also have a space if a student is reported not feeling well, saying they have a fever or other symptoms of COVID. So we have a separate space where that student would wait to be picked up, and parents need to have a plan to be able to get here within 30 minutes to pick up their child. Again, we really are trying to minimize anyone's exposure if someone is indicating symptoms of COVID. Close contact, if someone is considered to have close contact with someone who has had COVID, it's for a total of 15 minutes or more. If you've been in 6 feet of someone who's been positive for 15 minutes or more, that's considered close contact. If you're caring for someone at home who's sick with COVID-19, if you've had direct contact with a person, you've either hugged or kissed them that has had COVID-19, it should say COVID-19 at the top, by the way, not COVID-10. If you're sharing eating or drinking utensils, if someone has sneezed or coughed on you that's been infected, that would obviously be considered close contact. Remote or distance learning. So our focus will be on academics and social emotional well-being. During distance learning, we I think, have some better plans in place than what we were able to do last spring, given how quickly we had to transition to that. Hopefully everybody can feel more comfortable with it this year if you are doing remote learning. We are asking that if your child is doing remote learning to try and find a quiet and free of distraction place for them to work. Sometimes the kitchen table is a great spot because you can kind of see what they're doing, but it also tends to be a spot of high activity, which can be distracting for kids when they're working. So again, if you can help find a quiet spot that really will help your child concentrate, that would be best. We do encourage remote students to join their class for morning meeting and any live instruction in the morning and the afternoon. We've tried to chunk the instruction so there's a good long break in the middle for lunch and kind of a big movement break. We don't expect students to be on the computer all day long, but your child's teacher who's doing remote learning will connect with you about the daily schedule for remote learning. Remote or distance learning, in order to have smaller cohort sizes in school and for the remote learning, the teacher who is doing in-person learning may not be the teacher, in our school is not the teacher who will be doing the remote learning. So if I did send a list of who was teaching what and what grade levels, but if you're uncertain who your child's teacher will be this year or who the primary contact should be for you, for your child this year, please email me and I can get that information to you. At this point, I think a lot of teachers are in the process of making contact this week, but if you don't hear from someone or uncertain who your child's teacher is by the end of this week, please email me and I can get you that information. We do intend to provide support to students who are learning remotely that they would get as if they were in school. So if your child needs extra support, if they're feeling having some social emotional concerns, feeling isolated, anxious, or need some academic support, please let us know and we will definitely connect with them virtually. Again, if your child's not feeling well and they're not able to join us for in-person or remote learning, please make sure you're emailing your child's teacher, Mrs. Andrews, by 8:30 that morning. As you know, you had options that we sent a survey at this summer, whether you were going to do in-person 5 days a week or distance learning with instruction from our staff. Parent choice will need to be in effect through December. In December, we'll do another survey asking what you'd like to do for the rest of the year. At this point, parents can switch from in-person to remote. So if for some reason you started in person and you felt like that you were not feeling comfortable with that, you could switch to remote, but you can't switch from remote and back to in-person until the beginning of the year, until after we do the December survey. We've had a lot of logistics to work through with the in-person learning to make sure we have space and social distancing, that it would be really difficult for you to switch from remote to in-person at this point. The first day of school is September 8th. Kindergarten through grade 3 will attend in person that day. Because our grade 3 will be attending on the first day because we have a second, third grade combination classroom. So we would like for all of those students just to start at the same time. You may have seen in some other information that it was only K2, but at our school, grade 3 will also attend in person if that's what they've chosen on the first day. Grade 4 students will attend remotely on the first day of school, and then they'll begin attending in person on the 9th if the in-person option is what they chose. For more information on our district website, there is a COVID tab, COVID-19 tab. and it has all of the documents and information that were reviewed in this slideshow. I will also be creating a video that we'll be sending home next week that you and your child can watch together that will help them understand some of the changes that are happening. And then again, if you have any other questions, please email me at the email that's listed there, and I'd be happy to try and answer them for you. So again, I'm looking forward to working with you all this year. I hope this information has been helpful, and looking forward to having a great school year with you. Thank you for attending the slideshow.